friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I'm here today to talk about what could be a bit of a difficult topic for some people. And it's not like I've never approached this before, but I'm approaching this from a very different aspect than what I have talked about it in the past. Actually, years ago, I think it was right at the end of 2019, Patrick and I approached this subject together. And you will find that in our preparedness playlist that is about tough topics for discussion. So I'm taking this and kind of expanding on it, especially as I've been able to start looking at things from a little bit different viewpoint. Generally speaking, my view is pretty much the same, but also you may say I've added to it. And as I'm shooting this, I still haven't selected a title for certain, but one of the things is looking at our responsibility to others. Do we have a responsibility to others? And if so, what should that be? And that's also going to depend on your own personal situation. Now, while the whole idea of being prepared is, when we first get into it, usually we're thinking about ourselves and our household, whoever it is that we're taking care of, whether it be kids and grandkids, or even elderly parents, or pets, or farm animals. We often approach it from that, which yes, is a bit more self-centered, but it is also our responsibility, even according to the Bible, to take care of our children, of each other, our own family. That is our responsibility, which is why a lot of us do and have been doing what we do. So as difficult as it can be to think past that, and considering the possibility of helping others when they are in need, especially when we've been working really hard to put up what we have. We've been pinching and scrimping and saving. We've been foregoing vacations to fancy places that we see all of our friends going to, or going out to eat once, twice, or every day of the week. Foregoing the coffee stand coffees and the fancy clothes and whatever it is that we've been cutting back on in order for us to be able to put some stuff up. It can get a little frustrating when we see people just spending their money willy-nilly on whatever they want, despite us gently trying to tell them and teach them the importance of being prepared for whatever life throws your way. And that, I do believe that is part of our responsibility too, is to teach people, but you also have to approach it gently and kindly and show it to them in a realistic way, not, oh, the whole world's going to end tomorrow. Then they're going to be, well, what does it matter then if I prepare or not, if we're not going to be here? I mean, being sensationalistic isn't going to help get people on board. It's showing people real life scenarios, especially if you can do that from your own personal experience. And that's why the preparedness testimonies playlist, why I wanted to get it out there. I want people to see this as real life. There's real life things that can happen to just individuals, and they happen to people all the time. You'll still always get people, they'll be like, oh, that'll never happen here, or that'll never happen to me, because people just want to live in a false reality. For people like that, or the ones that laugh at us and the ones that make fun of us or publicly shame us. I've had people do that to me in a church I was attending, publicly shame me in front of other people and embarrass me because of the way I looked at things, and because of because of the fact that we are trying to put up things. We're trying to take care of ourselves in whatever situation life throws our way. But if we're truly going to be realistic, though, we have to realize that no matter how prepared we are, there can still be events that can happen and that can take away everything that we've put up. So part of being prepared is also creating a community you can depend upon, for realizing that no matter what you do, you may not have all these things. You may not have all your food and all your other resources. You may have to say goodbye to all of that. So do you have the knowledge and skills? There's a lot more to preparedness than just stuff that can easily be burnt up in a wildfire or swept away in a flood. so then as I've been thinking about this and seeing a lot of things going on even more recently, that there's people that have just tried their best to just put things up and take care of themselves, and yet it still all got taken away. In events like that, we have to put ourselves in their shoes, and we have to realize, you know what? That can be me. Wouldn't I want others to be willing to help me? Because even though I did my best, it still was nothing in this particular situation. Now, I don't like to say that and have people go, well, then why bother? I still believe we should bother. We should do the best we can. But we should also realize that there's people, whether they tried to prepare or not, they've still had everything taken out from under them. And even the most prepared person, that can happen to. So we got to look at the situation we're in now and say, okay, right now, I'm doing pretty good for myself. Or even if you're still in the process of just putting a little bit up here and there, is there something you can do to help those people in need who have had everything taken away from them, especially things that were of no fault of their own? And I don't think we should weigh them out as, well, that person didn't listen to me and didn't prepare, so I'm not going to help them. But I'll help that person over there that I know was at least trying. That's not how we should look at it. We should be willing to help anyone that is in need. It doesn't matter if they believe the same, have the same faith as you or not. None of that matters. What matters is that, especially for those of us who are believers, we should be desiring to want to help other people, especially for those of us who've come to a point that it's like, okay, now that I'm pretty well set to take care of myself and my family, I now have the time or the ability or the extra that I can give to someone else without putting my own family at risk. And that's what you have to look at. I mean, anytime you're looking at helping others, obviously we have to take into account our own OPSEC, protecting what we have as well, not for our own personal sake, but for the sake of those that we know we're going to need to take care of. And that's what I think of, because I don't care so much about myself and what happens to me, but I care about what happens to my grandbabies and to my husband and to my children. And I want to be able to be here for them in the event that they need help. But I also don't want to be above helping others in need. So if you're feeling that burning to want to help others, again, remembering if you're in their shoes, you would really want and desire people to be there, to be willing to help you, regardless of your belief, regardless of whether or not you've prepared. But we also got to look at, again, your own safety. So before you look into how can I help someone, what's going to be the safest way I can do this that would still not maybe put me on a map on some, because there are people out there. That's the other thing. I know of at least one person in this town who actually has admitted to others, and it's gotten back to me, that they pay attention to who in this area is into preparedness. And they watch. They'll look for people in stores and look at the kind of things that they put in their cart and stock up on. And they'll be able to pinpoint that this person is one who prepares. So in the event of a major crisis, I know where I can go. And they don't care if they know you or not. And this is the kind of person that very likely might try to take everything you have. So there has to be this balance. So how can we balance this out where we can protect ourselves and our own against people like that, but still be willing to help people that, especially those that can't help themselves? It's all going to be dependent on the situation. And this is where, at least I feel like being a believer, I love that I can have my faith that the Father is going to lead and guide us in certain scenarios and let us know and give us that discernment. And so even if you don't have that faith, everybody can have a certain amount of discernment when they know something's not right here, and be very careful about the way you approach this. But it also shouldn't mean that we're so protective of what we have that we're not willing to help others who are truly in need. So there are ways that you can either donate funds or food or whatever is needed and keep yourself anonymous. A lot of times you'll have food banks and places in your area that you can do this. I'm sure you can make arrangements so that people don't see you going in and out or whatever it is, that you can either donate the funds or the supplies that people need. As a believer, I've realized that sometimes it's just a leap of faith, because no matter what you do, there's always going to be a leap of faith. And, this most recent thing, there's a place called Grindstone Ministries that I've been talking about a lot that have really been helping the people back east. They've been putting in the hard work. They've been gathering supplies, water, food, chainsaws, everything that, even heavy equipment. People have been donating their time with their heavy equipment to be able to dig people out or to whatever it is that needs to be done. I mean, they're doing it all. And so I follow them on Instagram so I can see all the stuff that's going on there. And I love that. And, I was really praying that, man, I really would like to be able to help in some way. We're so far away. And for me, as the wife, as the woman, I always pray that I have a thought in my head. I have a certain amount of funds that I'd like to donate, because obviously that's going to be the easiest thing to do. And I always pray that if that's right, then the Father will let my husband give him that same number. And he'll bring it up first. And that's exactly what happens. He brings it up first. He asks me what I'm thinking. I'll give him a lowball figure, like, well, I'm thinking at least this much. And then he'll end up saying the exact amount, which is double what I was saying. And I'm like, yep, that's actually the amount I was thinking. So then that reaffirms to me that is right. And so, that to me, Grindstone Ministries, I know there's others out there like Samaritan's Purse and even local churches you can donate to that will help their communities. But to me, that just, being able to see what's happening there, able to see them actually doing this work, I felt very safe in sending that money there, those funds. And so we were able to help out in that way. And if the Father calls us to do more, we will. But I always like to make sure that that Patrick and I are on the same page when it comes to helping anyone in need, because that's really important. So, if you're by yourself, obviously that's going to be up to you. But if you have a spouse, no matter which way it goes, you guys need to be on the same page before you just start throwing food and money and supplies willy-nilly at everyone who asks. And then remember, even if you can't afford to give of, funds or even the food out of your pantry, because you've only just started putting stuff up and you only have enough to get yourself through a few days or a week or a month, there's always still more that you can do. Just look at your own skills. Is there something that you could physically do to help out in a situation? Is there something that you can make out of scraps? Are there people that need blankets? You can actually take a bunch of old jeans and whip together a pretty warm blanket, and it doesn't even have to take that much time. I can actually put together, if I have the time and I'm not spread out between grandchildren and YouTube and every Rumble and everything else, I can actually make a standard, like a twin size denim quilt in a day. I could do that in a day. I can just doing it in rectangles, cut it up. Usually it's going to take me a few days, but if I really crack down on it, I could get something like that done in a day. And then you just tie it. You don't have to hand quilt it. You don't have to machine quilt it. You just tie the squares. It goes pretty quickly. So there's a lot of things like that you can do. It doesn't usually take that long if you knit or crochet to whip up a hat if somebody needs something to keep their ears warm. There's always something. And it's just a matter of looking at what you have and you feel comfortable. You should never, ever, though, feel pressured into giving or guilted into it. It should come from a desire to want to help others. It's just that when we've become so protective of what we have, it can be scary to get ourselves in that point because we don't want to also put ourselves in a position where we can easily be taken advantage of. So using discernment and finding a good balance, and then also going off that desire and willingness to want to give, because giving begrudgingly, why somebody may still get use out of it, I think it's not going to be helpful to you. It's going to be more helpful to you if you're willing to do it and you look at the fact that, wow, if I was in their shoes, I really hope that there would be somebody that would be willing to step in and make me a hat to keep my ears warm because my house was taken from me. Everything was taken from me. Again, I'm going to share, I think I have this playlist on Rumble as well. So I'll make sure I put that playlist on the tough topics in the description box down below. Just remember that most of those videos were shot towards the end of 2019 and maybe very early 2020. And but I still think there's good conversations there to be had. And then I'm going to just go ahead and add this to that playlist, even though this is a much newer video. So any thoughts or ideas that you would like to share with us, please put those in comments down below. If there's any ministries that you like to give to, or any ways that things that you do where you can help others and still be able to retain a certain amount of anonymity, that would be really good to know for those, especially for those who want to be very, very careful about keeping their own selves safe, because we know there's crazy people out there too. So yes, please share those in comments down below. I know Tyler Woods I'm hoping he watches this video, and he always has some really, really great ideas as well. So Tyler, if you're hearing this, please put your thoughts and comments down below. And thanks everyone to watching, and any input you have, thank you for that as well. And take care, and God bless.